Hello, everybody. What's up? I have to say that watching the Boston and Miami Heat series has been very frustrating as a Sixers fan. I mean, for the simple reason that Miami is destroying the Celtics, and it's not even close. And the fact that watching this game and just making you realize that the Sixers came up small when they needed to, and that they just they didn't have what it takes to end the game, knowing that they were up 3-2, and knowing that Doc Rivers lost to Missoula, the man who saved timeouts like you save coupons. And also, it highlights a lot of issues with the Sixers and Doc Rivers. The fact that all teams that play against the Sixers go zone, they're pretty much collapsing on Joe. And this was the same in this series against Boston. The players, they didn't respect the players. They didn't respect them to consistently shoot threes. Yes, the Sixers shot enough threes in terms of percentage. They weren't putting up enough, and they were just building houses. Now, with that said, as time goes on, and you're talking about a series where you're playing the same team day in and day out, the coaches have an idea how to shut down the things that you can do, and it boils down to mismatches, and it boils down to your top players. The Sixers didn't take advantage of mismatches. James Harden wasn't able to take advantage of mismatches in the games where he needed to. The games that he exploded, he was able to. He wasn't consistent. So in terms, Boston went into zone, and it made it difficult for Joel Embiid to do what he had to do. With that said, though, I just think the Sixers' offense was just too stagnant, where they would just do the pick and roll, and you have four guys around the three-point line. There was no ball movement. There was no player movement. There was no cuts. There was no nothing. So it pretty much made it easy for the Celtics to sit there and zone up and do what they have to do, where you have people like Marcus Smart sitting there playing against Joel, and they couldn't punish him because they had somebody in front of them and had somebody behind them, and players weren't able to make the three. And James Harden just came up. James Harden, Joel Embiid came up small in Game 7. And watching this Miami game, you're seeing a team making them pay, getting their defense to scramble, running when they have the chance. Jimmy Butler just using the mid-range game and pretty much taking advantage of mismatches and hunting for mismatches. He did the same thing to Williams as what the Celtics did in Game 7 to Joel Embiid. I don't care how good a big man is. There's not too many big men that's going to be able to play one-on-one in space. And he just blew by him. Malcolm Brogdon is too small. Their guards can't handle Jimmy. When they have to sit and force and double team, their players are hitting the threes. And also, they're fast. And they have play. And this series shows the importance of player development. I know people are tired of the narrative where you have undrafted free agents. But you have undrafted free agents. You have people that were developed to be able to sit there and most importantly, got playing time. The irony of this is the fact that all those players that's on the court wouldn't have been able to sniff the court for Doc Rivers. And there lies the problem with Doc Rivers. We really don't know in terms of the Sixers bench what could have been done, because there were situations where they needed speed to sit there and play against them, and there was times when he put speed on the floor and it made it difficult for Boston. And when he didn't, and then when he stuck to the regular players, they got burned. It's so many times where you can sit there and just go try to do the same thing without pulling a little wrinkle. And there's something to be said where Boston can go into a big lineup and your whole offense falls apart. That pretty much sit there and say that you really had no counter to what they were doing. Although there was a counter, you could have just went small, just like Atlanta. I mean, not Atlanta, where Miami did. And just seeing how They took both games in Boston. Miami took both games in Boston. And they're up 3-0. And now Boston is on the brink of getting swept. The Sixers couldn't do that. Why? Because they didn't push the ball. They didn't take advantage of the speed that they had in terms of Maxey and stuff like that. And James Harden is a person that just doesn't push. He doesn't push the ball. Sixers is one of the slowest teams. And that allowed Boston to sit there and set their offense and zone up. So for me, seeing this, and also seeing Jimmy Butler play, is so irritating because Jimmy Butler is what the Sixers needed. Joel Embiid is not a leader. There's a difference between being a leader and being the best player. Just because you're the best player, you're not the leader. Look at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not a leader. There are no leadership qualities in Kevin Durant. It's not a coincidence that he won a title when playing with Steph. Sixers, James Harden is not a leader. Joel Embiid is not a leader. So when you have Game 7 or you have the end of Game 6, they melt it down. PJ Tucker, he can do his rah-rah. There's no offensive punch that he can sit there and do. And you're seeing what happens when teams take the image of their coach and their best player. And you're seeing it with Spo, who's the best coach in the NBA, and you see it with Jimmy Butler. And whereas the Sixers, you saw it with Doc Rivers, and you saw it with Joel Embiid and James Harden. It's not a coincidence because James Harden has a history, even at the top of his powers, to sit there and fold in playoff games. I thought this Game 7 would have been different, but nope, it wasn't. You know it's bad when you have announcers calling James Harden Game 7 James, because he comes up small in Game 7 or deciding games. So I'm hurt. Sixers lost, and I'm seeing the guy that I enjoy seeing play for the Sixers now with another team. And it's been in the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals where the Sixers still can't sniff the second round and still have the same issues that they had before. You have no wings. You have no speed. If you like what you hear, subscribe, comment, and just have a conversation about it. All right. Out.